The Jacksonville Jaguars, they are not fun to watch right now. I know it's just the preseason, and Urban Meyer is still getting his sea legs in his new level of coaching the sport underneath him. But watching that game was rough. He looked very frustrated. His body language, as I heard talked about all day today, was horrendous. Head down, frustration, shaking his head, screaming here and there. His offensive line was really, really bad, not projecting Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence, while he wasn't horrible last night, he did the most with what he had in front of him. There was a couple of plays where you saw him take the snap out of the shotgun because so much of their play calling had to be out of the shotgun because they couldn't protect him up front. And he's rolling out and he's trying to get throws over top of defensive linemen who are chasing him down and, reading from the first level to the second level. He did the best he could, but Trevor Lawrence's health is in danger this season as the quarterback for the Jaguars because their offensive line is very, very leaky. It's funny. I was listening to, or at least reading through online comments about, this game last night, and there were some suggestions that, well, maybe Gardner Minshew actually should start this season because that way you protect the health of Trevor Lawrence, which is, tongue-in-cheek and kind of insulting, but there might be something to that if this offensive line can't get any better. But with that being said, the story really is going to be this season about how Urban Meyer gets his team to buy into his philosophies. Now, we've heard so many things already. He keeps track while he's on the practice field. He's got his little notebook, and he's doing one-on-one reps and one-on-one competitions. And whoever wins those reps, they get a check in the plus column. And ultimately, if it comes down to do we keep this guy or do we keep that guy, the player that has the most checks, he's going to win. That's what he's talking about, at least. We know that he's a disciplinarian. We know that he's no nonsense. But according to our own Pete Prisco, who was on the DA show right here on CBS Sports Network earlier today, it's already starting. We've been in camp for 3 weeks. He's already starting to rub some of these players the wrong way.
He clearly does not like losing, even if it's in the preseason. I heard he had a rough go of it last week just because he lost his first preseason game, and that's not an attitude that you need to have in the NFL. And he brought a bunch of college-like things to the program, which I don't necessarily agree with, and I've heard some of the players aren't thrilled with him either, including having a microphone on the field, one of his assistants on the field during practice with a boom mic telling everybody to hydrate and hustle and get to the next period. So obviously he's a work in progress.
Now that's Pete Prisco, who was on the DA show right here on CBS Sports Radio earlier today. Now, Pete works down in Jacksonville, so he's intimate with this program. He knows the ins and outs. He can talk to people in the front office or the beat reporters or some of the vets that have been there for a lot of years, and they're going to give him the real inside story. And I 100% understand what Pete Prisco is saying, but I also know that when your team is rebuilding, when your team has had a couple of years of mediocrity and lack of winning, and there are players that are bitching and moaning about someone coming in and forcing accountability, then that's the necessary hardship that comes with recreating a program. When your team stinks and you're losing, people are upset. It doesn't matter if your coach is the greatest dude in the world or the worst players coach in the world. If he's a players guy, then they'll say, and you're losing, you're just too soft. If you're a disciplinarian like Urban Meyer is and you're losing, they'll say, well, we don't want to play for you. Like there's always going to be an excuse when the team is not good. But I would contend that that's a necessary part of rebuilding a culture. Because just like, and I went through this personally with Coach Coughlin, who, let's not forget, because history will revise itself and make him out to be, the greatest coach ever in New York Giants history based on his last 7 years. And people will forget the first 3, almost to a man, everybody wanted him out of there. Right? Because we weren't winning. He was a disciplinarian. He was turning over the roster, getting rid of the bad apples over and over and over again. And it just felt like we don't want to play for this guy. But ultimately, his culture, Tom Coughlin's that is, took hold. And he became more of a player's coach. And over time, guys started to realize the importance of the little things, of, not, getting 8 pounds overweight in the offseason, of, not taping your ankles the right way. I'm talking about little tiny things that don't mean anything, but taping your ankles the right way and wearing your socks the right way. And I'm not joking about this either, so that you don't get blisters and then miss time because you get an infection in your heel or whatever it may be. You think I'm joking? I'm not. This actually went on. Getting to meetings 5 minutes early, and if you're on time, then you're actually 5 minutes late, so that you have an accountability not only to the process of winning and developing a team, but you're respecting all those other guys in the room. And so early on, it sucked, but over time, it became part and parcel of the success the New York Giants had for half a decade and 2 Super Bowl championships. And so while I understand the alarmism that Pete Prisco is bringing, and I love Pete, I think he's fantastic, and he's not wrong in reporting what he's saying, but I understand his alarmism. Oh, guys don't like him. Guys don't want to play for him. They think he's a college coach with a college mentality, and these guys are professionals making more money than him. It's not going to last, not going to work. Hell, you heard some jokes talking about him, starting to take some calls for buyouts. Can somebody buy out this contract so I can go back to college and take some college job? I don't think Urban Meyer's a quitter, and I don't think Urban Meyer is a fool either. He knows that he's going to rub some players the wrong way. He knows that there is going to be attrition, and probably lots of it, in the next couple of years. And he also knows that winning in the NFL is a hard task, because if you don't have everybody moving in the same way, with the same ideals and the same focus on the little things, that eventually things slip through cracks and failure starts to crack across the ship. And so I get it. This report, it makes sense to me. Urban Meyer, yeah, he's a pain in the butt, and guys don't like him. They don't want to do the hard things. In the NFL, it should be easier, right? Urban Meyer had success in college. He doesn't know what he's talking about in the NFL. But this happens, especially when you bring in a coach like Urban Meyer. And I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars needed this kind of transition from this laissez-faire atmosphere that persisted for the last couple of years, where winning wasn't a priority. It was, we just have a job to do, right? I'm getting paid to be a professional, and I'm going to do my job. But yeah, winning, if it happens, it happens. It became second place as opposed to the primary thing. Now, are they going to win a lot? Probably not. But I'm not ready to jump off the Urban Meyer bandwagon simply because there are reports coming out of the locker room that guys don't like him. Who cares? You don't have to like the guy you work for in order to play hard for him. In fact, you're almost better sometimes not liking the guy that you play for. So you do play hard for him. So you're scared of him. You actually have some accountability to your job. If he likes you too much, maybe you get too lazy or too comfortable. The last thing you need in a rebuilding team is comfort. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It needs to be uncomfortable, because otherwise you get stuck in the same rut of nonsense and mediocrity that you've been stuck in for the last half a decade. So Urban Meyer's causing problems, ruffling feathers with the players. Good for Urban Meyer. He deserves it. He deserves to put those guys in their right place.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.